Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fun filled, jam packed episode of Plastic Ink Pixels. No, I said that wrong. It's
You
Pixels
got this.
Try
Plastic
one
You
more
got this.
time. It's not
Heck,
live. Don't worry
it's
about it. We'll
Ink,
take it again.
Ink Plastic Pixels. Nope, I'll try one more time. Plastic
Nope.
Pixels Ink. Nope, we'll
Nope.
do Pixels Plastic Ink.
That sounds like a good one.
Say it with me. Pixels Plastic Ink.
Plastic
We
Ink.
are your lovely hosts, as Mr. Mac Daddy Maddox, who's gone through a name change recently.
Yes, he
always
has.
says. Thanks for joining us here on a 7 p.m. Pacific time start every Friday on the channel. We got so much stuff to talk about. First off, at the top of the hour is the sequels summer box office. Big sequels, some that have already been released and others. Bad Boys Furiosa, Beverly Hills Cop. Although that's not a sequel, I think it's the fourth installment. Hopefully it's not as bad as the third and more like the second. Deadpool Wolverine and much, much more. We're going to talk about, are sequels thriving, or is it still going to be a challenge for a lot of these franchises? And then, do we need a Jurassic World 4? Do we need any Jurassic Park films? Dr. Brantley, I'm sure, has a lot to say about this topic. And then Plastic, Marvel Legends HasLab leak for you toy collectors. HasLab, lots of buzz of Star Wars, and now Marvel. What is the big rumor? And are there too many damn pre-orders? Are you a toy collector? The pockets, you're reaching deep in the pockets. I know the crew here is. And then lastly, we know Deadpool and Wolverine are going to be huge. This is going to be a giant box office success. And will the comic book industry be able to capitalize on a renewed interest in these characters, or fail like many times before? This is Pixels Plastic Ink. Good evening to you all. Before we go any further, please, if you're viewing for the first time or many a times, stop, click the subscribe button, and like the video. It only helps the channel grow. It's free, and you can take just a few
We're
seconds.
paying for it.
We're paying for it. How are you all doing, gentlemen?
Pretty good, brother. Pretty good. How's everybody else?
Oh, Dr. Brentley and I are good. Just hanging out,
All right.
relaxing.
All right. Any good stuff on television or in films that you have watched recently? Anything before we jump into our main topic?
Yes, sir. I just watched the 4th episode of The Boys, and I gotta say, I think it's. I've said this before. I think sometimes they go a little overboard and they get a little grotesque. But they are taking this in a different spin than I thought they were, especially with Homelander. So I'm excited for it. I haven't gotten into Compound V or whatever the offshoot is. I haven't gotten into that yet. I heard it was good, but I really enjoyed The Boys, and I'm still trying to make it through Fallout. So that's
I haven't finished Fallout yet.
Oh, really?
And
Wow.
my things, you know how I like my reality TV treasure hunt shows. So they did not find the treasure on the Curse of Oak Island yet. They
Oh.
got real close, but then they had to shut it down
Almost.
for the season. Almost.
had it.
Next year, it's going to be this lucky time.
That's the year, baby.
But now it is the Secret of Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, that
they
one's a
got
good
some.
one.
Yes.
Okay.
Really cool shows. You should check them out if you're not watching them.
Yeah, I think for myself, I know we did a reaction video to Game of Thrones, the House of the Dragon season 1 premiere. Pretty good premiere. Like I said again, as usual, they have one hell of a twist at the end. It's worth watching. But that was the highlight of the week, man.
Yeah, I read that people are very upset because apparently, and spoiler alert, turn down your volume if you
In
don't want
5,
to be spoiled. 4, 3,
4.
2, 1. But apparently, in the first episode, we all know what happens at the end of it. But apparently, the books, it's a much crazier
I'm sure.
description of that incident, and I guess the children a lot more in that relationship, what makes that decision and all that stuff happen more. And apparently she has to make a decision, and it's like weighs on her and stuff versus kind of like who's the boy. So apparently they say choose one or the other, and that like haunts her forever. So people are complaining it wasn't like the people are complaining it wasn't like the Red Wedding, but I'm like, did you really want to see a kid get like, come on?
Yeah, they did.
Come on, man. But yeah, that was a really good start to the season, I have to say. Really well written and didn't give away too much. And damn, that's a big ass dragon. Whew.
Yeah, wow.
Can't wait to see some sequences. All right, well, let's jump into it. It is the summer of sequels and or continued franchise, third, fourth installment, and we've seen quite a few. I mean, even if you think pre-summer, you had a couple of things hit. Some animated stuff Disney just released. It looks like their first recovery in the Pixar universe after several bombs. So I haven't seen it, but a couple of people that I know that saw it, so it was actually pretty good, and the Rotten Tomato scores and the box office reflects it. But as we look to sequels that are up and coming, and then Bad Boys actually did really well, what's your thoughts on the summer of sequels? Anything you're all hyped or excited about? Anything that you've seen recently? And what say you about Hollywood banking on the seconds, the thirds, the fourths, the fifths, and so on?
Well, I mean, that's Hollywood. It's always been that way. It's going to continue to be that way. I mean, they did a sequel to it was either Dracula or Frankenstein the same year that the first one came out. So, they really know how to capitalize on these franchises. Some don't know how to capitalize on it, because who thought it was a great idea to release a Mad Max sequel without Mad Max in it? Okay, so that's probably why it did not do so well.
Yeah.
And, then you do a Pixar thing, Inside Out 2, to a well-liked Pixar movie, and people went to see it. People wanted to see Bad Boys. I didn't think they would, but for some reason, people wanted that kind of thing.
I think Bad Boys has like a cult following. I think, like, if you look at, for example, the amount of advertising Bad Boys did versus, things that people didn't want to see, Furiosa, they barely did any kind of advertising, but domestically made the 125 million, whatever. And I mean, so I think that has I think that just has like a following to it, and it's one of those, like, if I go watch Bad Boys, I know it's a popcorn movie. I don't have to really pay attention, but it's something to distract me. As someone who went and saw Inside Out 2, I'm gonna tell you they they nailed it. It was like, obviously I took kids with me, but all in all, I liked Inside Out, the first one, and the second one was such a clever way to introduce all of the teenage emotions. And the movie, honestly, like, it's hard to tell like what's happening. You think you kind of understand like what they're gonna get into, and it's just a really good play. Inside Out always reminds me of an animated version of Herman's Head.
Okay, yeah.
You guys remember
Wow,
Herman's Head?
you're back, man. Herman's Head.
Yeah, Herman's Head was awesome, man. Lisa from The Simpsons. But yeah, I think I also was impressed with how Bad Boys did.
Yeah, I was impressed.
Was that a Michael Bay thing? Did he produce that?
Well, he's a producer on it, isn't he? It's with
or did he?
Or no, I'm sorry,
Probably
that's Jerry
producer,
Bruckheimer. No, I say that's Jerry Bruckheimer. I think he directed the first one. Bruckheimer produced
Michael
it,
Bay
but-
did the first two,
Yeah,
and then it was the same guys that did the third one came back to do this one.
So Bruckheimer and Bay did not have anything to do with producing or directing.
Well, probably
or anything?
Bruckheimer, because it's his thing.
His thing, yeah.
He's not going to give up that cash.
Yeah.
No.
I think people do. Yeah, I think you're right. People are just like nostalgic in some sense. You know, that's what's right now. Pop culture is very gimme, like the, you know, late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, hell, Creed, the band, is performing again. Like after being a joke after the peak of success, and, you know, everyone, like literally full blown tours, sold out crowds. And you think about late 90s, 2000s, that was the thing. Bad Boys and all these like Bruckheimer, Michael Bay. So I think there was some nostalgia behind it. And, you know, but cop buddy film, we haven't seen that in a while. And we know those two actually have pretty good chemistry on screen, regardless how you feel about Will Smith or Martin Lawrence. So I'm not surprised. And I was thinking they didn't spend a lot of money on marketing. At least I didn't see. But one of the things that did captivate my eyes was like a week before is that camera that they filmed, that they showed Will Smith using, that POV camera while he was firing the weapon. Cool. I was like, oh, that's like a very John Wick type of, like, you would introduce it before a film to see the new camera technique. And if I'm going to go see it, it would be for like, I want to see some of the new stuff that they're doing, because I thought that was really cool. But yeah, I was surprised not surprised it did well, but how well it did, I guess, is I was surprised for sure.
Yeah, I'll give you that too, because you know, it lets you know that while, you know, I guess Hollywood is still a little bit unforgiving to Will Smith, it seems like the public has kind of moved on from the situation. And I didn't think that was going to be something that he could have had a turn around with, especially, you know, after the controversy that it became. But I was surprised. Mad Max was just Furiosa was just a poor decision. And I think that, you know, while George Miller, we all think he's a great director and everything, but there's a certain moment and a certain time where you've gotten out of touch with the audience. People did not want to see that character. People still want to see Mad Max. A lot of people, especially in that genre, want to see Mel Gibson do one last run with it.
Yep.
You know, so, you know, you get what you come through when you have your ego takes over a little too much. And that seemed like what that was. Bad Boys, you know, if you've seen any of the Bad Boys, you've seen the fourth Bad Boys. It's the same joke, same situation, same movement. They just spent a little bit more money. So you're getting the same repetition that you've always seen. And I don't think you go into the theater surprised or disappointed by it. You know what you're getting with that. I was shocked that Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, when it came out, and I'm running that since it was May, we're going to run that as a summer movie. It has such a long hiatus. I was shocked that it did extremely well, because sometimes when you hold something off that long, it either, you know, it breaks records or it falls flat on its face. So I was kind of shocked at that. Deadpool Wolverine is going to be the biggest movie of the summer. It's just, at this point, it's a very weak summer. I could see that being the only thing that breaks and I think it's going to break into the billion points. Despicable Me 4, it's really going to do well. Something about that franchise, look, I haven't seen a bad one out of them. They're always entertaining, always funny. They always take the notch up, but that was also going to be another big one. And I'm curious to see A Quiet Place Day One, how well that franchise does without the main characters from the first two installments in. That's the thing that I'm like, that's a dark horse for me, you know. And then we don't have to guess about Beverly Hills Cop, since Paramount didn't put it in theaters. There's no box office for it, so I'm sure it's going to be the biggest thing on Netflix, because there's not a damn thing on Netflix, so it's going to do well for there. But, you know, I think A Quiet Place is I'm wondering if that's going to be a hit or a miss.
See, I think they screwed up with that one because the making it day one, right? You're taking away the entire point of the franchise, which is we have to be quiet through the whole thing, otherwise these aliens are going to get us. It looks like just another alien invasion movie, and it's these things that come and they're attracted to sound. But and it looks like way more expensive than all the other ones as well. So I think it's going to make less money and cost more, which is the wrong formula you want if you're making sequels.
I think the dog agrees.
Yeah, he definitely agrees. We don't have to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine. We know it's going to do crazy box office. I'm a little concerned they put the Axel Foley movie on Netflix. Do they know something like with all of the money? Like you'd figure if they knew it was going to be big box office. Eddie Murphy's star is definitely faded for a while now. And going back to nostalgia, people will see it. I'm going to watch it. I know if you have Netflix, you probably will. Trailer looks pretty decent. Action sequences looks good. I hope it really does well. That's the big question mark for me, though. Is it going to feel like a big box office release Foley type of thing, or is it going to feel like you made it for Netflix? You know what I mean? Like you could tell the difference sometimes of not just reduced budget, but the script. Yeah, like I hope it's not the case, man. Because I want him to end on a high note with that franchise.
I think that it is a big budget film. I think Paramount made a mistake. I think because Paramount has so much financial problems that they did the guaranteed cash. They didn't want to is it going to do well in the box office or not? And then they were spending a crap load of money on A Quiet Place. And they were like, well, what are we going to do here? Because we've all seen over the last several months that they're in some real financial problems, and they have a bunch of people running that studio that don't know how to run that studio. Them and Sony both are in trouble. And I just think they just, Netflix probably paid way more than they were supposed to for something like that at that franchise. And they said, just take the guaranteed money. But I think that's going to be a mistake. I think it would have done well in the box office.
But if you're Paramount, right, you're looking at last year.
Yeah,
Indiana Jones came out, and that didn't do good. You had all these things that thought, oh, it's a surefire hit. The Flash. Oh, we can't go wrong with a DC character, and that tanked. So they saw all these things last year coming out that was nostalgia, old stuff coming back, and none of it worked. So I think they got scared and were just like, sell it.
Well, I don't blame them. Like it's again, they're in financial peril. I think they're several bombs away from that's it and everything. They're closing up that marquee because they don't have it. But this is one of few I think just because everyone I've talked to, and I've talked to even older family members and some of my friends, everybody's like, oh man, I can't wait to watch that on Netflix. So that's why I was like, I think I'm hearing a lot of buzz for that. A Quiet Place, I'm not hearing one single thing from, and I'm like, unless it's one of those things where it just does extremely well, due to it's something like Megan or something like the younger demographic goes and builds it up. I don't know. I think it's in the middle of a year where it's not looking good at the box office for a lot of projects they put out this year.
Can we talk about, by the way, the Deadpool and Wolverine, the latest trailer? You got Juggernaut in the background. You got Lady Deadpool. Any curious, who's going to be playing these characters? Are they really? The cameos have to be next level in these multiverses, right?
And you can get someone for hey, I need you for a day, and come into the studio on a green screen, and we're going to put you in this cool costume and in the background, So you can get a lot of people that way, I bet.
Sabretooth, it's just going to be one right after the other of just cameos and different versions.
What I think is funny about the Deadpool Wolverine thing is if you go back to the very first Deadpool, there was this thing of this film isn't going to do good, right? And then there was just a bunch of mocking the fact that There were no like A-list X-Men or anything in the movie. And then throughout the movies, it's just been kind of like, oh, well, what if we get this? And then it's always, and now you look at it and it's gone from a movie they didn't think would do well to a movie that's going to blow everything else out of the water that they did. And it's got everyone excited to go see it because of the fact that we know there is a ton of cameos and everyone's like, I just need to see the cameos. And the storyline looks really good too, but it's also just like, this is the best way to do all the cameos, reset timelines, like get everything back into order and kind of do what they do. And then they put Kathleen Kennedy on it and then just let it go from there.
Yeah, I think the excitement is that, I think fans are at the point where, look, they've asked Marvel for several years now, give us what we want. And, Marvel has denied it, done everything beyond it. And I think this is one of those moves where Kevin Feige greenlit this because, one, I think he has to, because I don't think he has another couple of bombs in him at Disney.
No.
Because after a while, they're like, yeah, you made us, it's the movie business, and Dr. Britton and I know this, is that it's very, what have you done for me lately? I don't care what you did 5 years ago or 10 years ago. What are you doing for me right now?
Yeah,
And
we already spent that money.
yeah, I think he needed this, and he went with a surefire scenario. And then, I'm sure it wasn't too hard to Brian Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are pretty good friends. But also, I'm sure that they wrote a check like no tomorrow, and he was like, I can get in shape for that and get back out there for Wolverine. So,
Yeah.
I'm glad to see it. I'm glad we're getting something that everybody's excited about.
Yeah. Well, the rumor mill on different installments of films has a Jurassic Park upcoming. I mean, how many more of these are we gonna? Now, here's the thing. I thought they were doing Jurassic Park. I thought they were going back. Like it wasn't going to be a Jurassic World 4, but didn't I read it was going to be a different,
Yeah,
whole new
it's all
take?
different characters. It's a new setting, but it still takes place in the same world after all these dinosaurs are out.
But is it called Jurassic World 4, or is it like another?
Well,
I'm not. Well, I mean, who knows?
That's
'Cause
what
they
they're
haven't
saying
started
right
filming it.
now.
But
Yeah.
I bet they would call it something different if they're smart. Jurassic something else.
That's the thing, is like, at least with Transformers, you say what you bought. The last one was actually pretty good, but like,
Yeah, it
say what
was.
you want. But like, they know the audience. Like, just have freaking robots and Optimus and fight and whatever, and it's entertaining enough. And you don't. But the Jurassic Park films have just been not great. Like, and I know there's dinosaur fighting, but it's just so bad, hard to get through recently.
Well,
What do
they've
you
done
think
it.
they need to do with this next one to
The
just
first one
make it
is
better?
so good, and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the other ones are trash. I mean, like this Lost World and Jurassic World are, the best ones out of the rest of them, but none of them just, I don't know how difficult it is. It's like, make humans you like, put them in danger from ferocious dinosaurs, and you got 2 hours of fun. That's it. Boom. It
I
should be
think it
simple.
all. I think it all boils down to is that it's kind of like the same way that Legendary had a problem when they first started doing the MonsterVerse. They wrote characters, and everybody wanted to see Godzilla. It's Jurassic. It's not Human World. It's Jurassic World. People want to see, like in the first Jurassic Park, more of that, and they have these subtextures and stories and conservationists and humanitarians and pilots, and it's like nobody wants to see 45 minutes of people standing around talking about what should we do. It's like, it's got to be a little bit more brought back to the classic point. And then I think some of the characters, just like, look, after 3 movies, like we were all tired of Chris Pratt in that role, and then to bring all of them back from the first film, and that was just a colossal mess, and it didn't give a good payoff. So I think, yeah, while they're moving into newer characters and everything, but they're not. I think they think because of Steven Spielberg, it's a family film, and they try to keep that same. And I think that's handcuffing them, because if you had a bunch of dinosaurs running around today with all the human beings out there, there would be the military and there'd be dinosaurs being blasted apart everywhere you saw. And they sink into the whole point where very little violence when it comes to the dinosaur, unless it's mostly dinosaur and dinosaur. And nothing really kind of gets like just dinosaurs walking around and people just have to deal with it. Well, if you lived in the city and there was 100 pack of wolves, you just wouldn't deal with it. You'd probably eliminate them. So it's the family friendly aspect that they keep trying to pump into this. That's just like, you look at their Netflix shows through DreamWorks, the Crustacean and all the other ones, and those are just god awful terrible. And then you look at their lines on the Mattel, they can't sell those toys. It's the wrong demographic to have dinosaurs in. I just think the genre's wrong.
Yeah. Well, as long as we don't have motorcycles and raptors following along, friendly raptors.
We may.
Good.
We may.
I really hope not. Maybe they transcend this into kind of Planet of the Apes, where like the dinosaurs slowly start to adapt and take on human form and work at banks, and I mean, ABC did have a sitcom. They could kind of mirror that in a sense and make it just go full fun, family friendly. The opposite of what Mr. Storm just said. Just happy dinosaurs. Why not give it a shot? Because what you're doing now is not working. Maybe
they all drive cars and everything, and they're work for the government, and it's like, the Universal's like, let's borrow the stuff from that's going down with Fast and Furious. We'll just make it right here. You see Don Torino and the Dinosaur Raptor driving around in a Dodge Charger. Now they might as well throw everything at it
while flying in space.
Obviously, the dog does not like that idea.
I know, no, it doesn't drive them crazy, especially what you said, Torino.
Well, he just saw a raptor fly by on a motorcycle. So, okay, well, in summation, we've had some sequels. We got some other sequels on their way. Continued excitement for the summer sequels over the next couple months, or are you all kind of on the fence about what's to come?
No, I'm looking forward to. Look, at this point, we've had so far in between this year that I don't ever remember a box office where it was just as flat. So, like, anything that's going to bring a little extra excitement, and also it's one of those things where, like, I think Amazon, Netflix, and all the streamers just really didn't put anything together either. So there's not a lot of stuff to steal the thunder. I do think there's going to be a lot of people, like, sitting in theaters. And it's like we always say about San Diego Comic-Con and the Hall H not being around. Well, I think by streaming having such a flat summer right now, I think it's going to send people into the theaters. And plus, also, if you're living in the East Coast or West Coast or the middle of the United States, it's burning up hot. You want to go to a place where you're not paying AC, and you can do it for like $18. Well, you'll do it for that.
Yeah.
Chet, what do you think?
Yeah. I'm pretty much in agreement. I think I don't know. I don't know. I think Mr. Storm said most of it. So I don't know. We'll see. I know everyone I've talked to ever in the last like few months, actually probably longer than that, has been just excited about Deadpool Wolverine. And I personally feel like I don't know if they're necessarily like taking advantage of this the way that they should from like other aspects of the business of keeping it alive. But we'll see. I don't know. There's so much potential with the amount of hype that's happening that if I was running it, I'd be like, dude, you're missing out on like comics and like toys and just different like where's the video game?
Yeah, nobody cares about video games anymore, man.
Which is weird. It's because everyone's tired of AAA studios using everybody's pre-orders as beta testers.
Yeah. Now it's all like, unless it's going to be like pay to win or pay to get skins massive MMOs or multiplayer games, it's few and far between they develop a game like an Elden Ring or a Spider-Man. So, but I hear you, because that would be a badass to have Deadpool Wolverine. That's the film that I'm looking forward to. Axel Foley, definitely check it out. I know it's not summer, but I definitely want to check out Alien Romulus. I had no idea that it was pre CGI when what's his name watched it and said it was amazing. So that's a good sign. He watched it without that and said it was epic. So if you can pull that out without seeing like the actual aliens, that tells me the story is compelling.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that, but that's obviously post summer.
Well, and then there's also like Beetlejuice 2, there's Joker 2, Gladiator 2 coming around Christmas, which
I
Oh, boy.
don't understand.
I don't
I
know.
don't understand why I didn't know about Gladiator.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington is in it, so I'm gonna give it a chance, and it's still Ridley Scott. So we'll see.
I'm putting cases on all you bitches. I just want to. That's what I want. I want that. I want the that Denzel in the movie. If we get that, we'll be good to go.
King Kong ain't got
nothing
shit
on me. Yes, that's what I want to see. Well, that wraps up our sequels summer as we move on to our next segment, and that is plastic. And before we discuss our topic in plastic, please subscribe, drop a like, comment. I want to hear your thoughts. We appreciate you tuning in every Friday night, 7 p.m. Pacific time. We go live. And if you're watching after the fact, all good too. We got plenty of videos and content on the show, a variety of different things from pop culture, wrestling, pro wrestling, video games. We got all kinds of cool stuff. We got the new show Mac Daddy Maddox released last week, Junkies. So we're talking about video games. Its debut Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Pacific time. The Toybox Chronicles for all you toy heads and toy junkies, and a variety of other content. Shadow Shoot Shot. So Shadow Shoot Shot on pro wrestling and other things, toy reviews, etc. So follow us and check out the other amazing content. So in the toy universe, there is the Marvel Legends HasLab rumor. So every year, a crowd-funded HasLab project just recently released in the Star Wars vintage line, the Mos Eisley's Cantina. Where is that at this point? Is that going to get funded? I haven't checked it in a week. Are they close to getting to the fund?
Last I saw, they weren't. They were the midpoint, and it seemed like it was stalling. And I think it may make it to, like, to back at the last minute, because usually these campaigns are rammed through it at the last minute.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to hit any of their the tiers. I don't think this is going to happen, or at least at the moment right now, it looks like it's not going to happen, because it just seems to be, I think this is one of those things that we've all talked about. I don't think this is something that they people really just wanted, and I'm checking the numbers right now, and it looks like they're at 5,572 backers with like 17 days ago.
Ooh, it's
and they've got to hit 8,000 target. So that's what I said. I think they'll, because like usually the last couple of times I've seen some of these Star Wars or any of the HasLab that seemed like they weren't doing well, they influx a bunch of international orders in at the last minute, and that kind of tallies it up. But I don't know. I don't know if they're going to get it to the extra tiers, or at least they may hit one, but I don't think they're going to hit a bunch. It's looking real tight for them right now, man.
Yeah, for sure.
And that sucks, because if you're going to buy that thing, I want all the tiers, right? It's like, I don't want just this thing. I want to get all the extra characters that are supposed to come with it, that you intended to come with it. So I feel like I'm getting cheated if I, actually buy it, and I'm essentially missing probably $50 or more worth of stuff that should be in there.
No, at this
Yeah.
point, what the price of it is piped in. And then when you look at the I think which we'll talk about this a little after, but I think they've done a tap on their audience. I think this year that whoever across the lines
Yeah.
at Hasbro didn't do a smart job in spanning things out, because you've had all these Marvel Legends dropping. As a matter of fact, they just dropped some yesterday. And what's going on, Meeks? And they've got all of the G.I. Joe Classified, and they've been dropping the 40th anniversary Transformers. I just I think it's just getting to be too much. And then you drop something down that's almost $400.
Yeah.
And and it's something that's not spectacular. People's got to say to themselves, well, where am I digging in the money from this? Because then you've got another like less than 3.5 weeks before San Diego Comic-Con pops up.
Yep.
And you've got another HasLab dropping. And then we're talking about this, Marvel Legends is supposed to be popping up. Well, when's that coming out? Because I can tell you, Chet and I talked, we're kicking the can down to November at this moment with all this stuff. So, maybe they just hit a tap out with some of this stuff. If they would have probably hit it in May, that probably would have been smarter, and they would have had some time to catch up people and recover. But I don't think they're doing that quite right.
No, they're not. I think there's a lot of stuff that they messed up. I think that the mess up of the number one, the leak being real for the HasLab Cantina was a problem.
Sure.
But I think the not releasing Star Wars during May was a big problem, right? But we all know Cantina. I don't think he's gonna fund. I tried to watch a video where I think it was two people, like their toy photographer and this other girl, were talking about how they were trying to fill it up with their own toys, and I was like, I'm just not excited about it. Like none of that screams. Oh, that's cool. It's like, still at the end of the day, where
On
do you
your
put it?
own, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you wanted to, you could essentially make this exact same thing for way less money.
Yep.
And
but this is one of the things I was kind of looking at. It actually seems like this is one of the first times, because once they removed the whole problem of taking so long was just removing all the lights. It was supposed to have working lights, and they ended up scrapping that, probably because they couldn't get the mechanics of it all to work. But this just seems like this could have been to retail. Like you could have just done one half of the bar, put it in a box, and put it on the shelf. It doesn't seem like it's something where, I know they've done some incredible details, but like the other half of the bar is the deluxe version, some extra booths and everything else. So they've, I think if they would have just cut it to the bar and then one side of the room, it seems like something that could have went to retail and could have been somewhere on the access. We could take out some of the other some of the extra details. You probably could have sold this for $250 at retail. It doesn't seem like this is something that's like $400.
Well, I don't think people would have bought this at $250. That seems ridiculous.
No, but at least it would have made sense.
Like
it would have made sense, though.
See, I think $150 is about all you can ask for something like this, because after that, it's like, well, what am I paying for? It's a center aisle and a couple of booths. That's it. It's
literally
nothing.
Yeah.
I want to buy it and put like Ninja Turtles having coffee with Superman and Wolverine's in the back talking to Han Solo.
I don't know if you can do that. This is a vintage collection, so this is not 6-inch. Those Ninja Turtles are going to cram themselves in the bar.
What are you talking about? I got those $5 Ross figures, the ones we just talked about. Mutant Mayhem. Those things are like 4.5 inch scale.
Do your own Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Have them sit at the bar.
If I'm going to spend that money, I'm doing my own scene. There won't be just Star Wars exclusive characters in there. There's going to be an abundance of things in there. There's going to be the Watchmen's going to be in there. It's going to be a whole epic convention.
Well, one thing that he should have done too was, this was one of those areas where Hasbro has a terrible problem with this. This might have been one of the moments where they need to get some of the people from the YouTube community, bring them in, and then hype it up. because you probably would have needed some guys, maybe you ship it to a couple of the tubers, houses, let them do some photography, let them put some characters in it, because the way they presented the video, people were like, okay, it's a bar. But I think if you would have gotten people, well, this is what I'm doing with it, and see other guys with maybe some customizations or something, maybe that might have helped this, because I think you really needed like an all-point bulletin for this to work.
Yeah. Well, speaking of HasLab, lots of rumors out there in the Marvel world around the HasLab. I don't know what you all been reading. I think I shared with Chet
You did
yesterday. Some in the deep channels of Reddit, there are a couple of guys, Marvel collectors, who have been pretty right and accurate on some of the releases over the past couple of years. And although there isn't like a substantial leak like this HasLab one where you saw like the drawings, the big rumor is that the next announcement could possibly be Chet's favorite in major mega form, Fing Fan Foom, as a HasLab. Now, this is just somebody mocked this up, probably using AI. So this is,
but who wouldn't buy this?
Yeah,
with the hat and the pants. Come on.
And then the other rumor is there's a pipeline. So the second one would time with the release of X-Men 97 season 2, and it would be Apocalypse, giant Apocalypse HasLab. So those are the rumors, but Fing Fan Foom is one of the grails of Marvel collectors. Do you think that they would do this?
I just got to tell you, I was talking to Chet, and all I had words. I was right. You son of a bitches. I was right. I told you it was going to be Fing Fang Foom.
Well, do you think
he's the only other bigger character? No, man.
Yeah.
He's the only, because
they can't go, like, Apocalypse is not that big. Like, Fing is the only, like, in that scale, right? Like Giant Man.
Maybe they do him with a playset or the Egyptian pyramid or something crazy for him. But I knew, like, when you're looking at, once they did Giant Man, and I was like, okay, they're running out of like the larger characters here. Like, what's the next one? Where there's only a big dragon really kind of left. And we've seen he was a very good Build-A-Figure. In fact, my good buddy Mr. Maddox owns that Build-A-Figure. And I think that this is going to be something that the fans look. If they put lights in this damn thing too, then we may be I might be going to the blood donation center and drawing some Marvel Legends blood because I knew it. I said it's got to be Fing Fan Fu, but you give an accurate version of, he's got to have the purple pants, man. He's I don't care what you do, you got to have a giant dragon with pants. I've been waiting for him and the giant version of Smug to be there, the two favorite dragons of all the universe. I'm waiting for it, man. So I was right.
Well, we saw it's an unconfirmed rumor, but that's I think there's a lot of hope in the Marvel community.
Of course,
it is Fing. Like, it was the first epic BAF Build-A-Figure, and people are still, there hasn't been a figure since. They've been wanting it. It's too big to ever be a BAF in the new wave or line. I think it would easily fund. So I know Chet would be all over it. He'd be buying the quantities of 5.
If it comes out, I will. If it comes out, I will try to be the first one to buy the maximum amount I can.
It's like Fing Fan Fu with martini glasses hands. What the hell is this?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's a great character, and like, we just saw the new Marvel Legends wave come out right now with the Blackheart figure. Well, Blackheart was a Build-A-Figure, so it wouldn't surprise me if they would basically repeat this in the same form. But once they did Giant Man, you're like, okay, wait a minute. There's only so many other characters that can grow to this size. Now next thing you know, they've got that, and they could do like a giant size Ant-Man after that point. So you're kind of limiting yourself. But I said at one point they're gonna have to, because while Fing Fang is really great as a Build-A-Figure, when you look at Galactus and you look at the Sentinel, that makes you like, if you had any Marvel Legends, you just want to throw that crap in the trash and everything. Once you look at those giant, huge structures. So like, when you're like, hey man, when when Giant Man funded, because I said, there's no way nobody's going to get Giant Man. Who even half the people don't even know who Giant Man is, and yet it funded, and I was like, okay, they're going to have to keep this trend of bigger and better.
But $200 is different, right? Like that's
it was
one of those
reasonable.
things where it's like, like I don't know, but like, hey, it's $199. Hell, like Hulkbuster costs $80 at this point, so it's like I might as well get a big figure. That what's interesting is the rumors tie into like what the next installment of like films are going to be. Thing fans no attachment. I think it's just like a legacy character. Obviously, Apocalypse, people think he'll be introduced in some fashion. And then the third one slated for 2026 to time with the new Avengers would be the Quinjet. And
wow,
that could be a potential. I mean, that would be the first vehicle that they've ever released. But dope. They're running out of figures.
Oh yeah, they're running out.
They have to transition, and that's one that if you're not a Marvel fan, I think that dives into the Joe universe with collecting jets and like Star Wars collecting space vehicle. Like that thing would do extremely well because that's just an epic Marvel ship. And
it is.
People that collect that aviation, it would they'd be all over it. So that would definitely dip into more universes other than the Marvel one.
I'm surprised they haven't done the Blackbird at this point.
Yeah,
because I would have thought that would have been first. If there's, I understand the Quinjet too, which makes sense, but now they have to move it in. Dare do I say at one point and everything? Are they going to get so crazy enough and everything that we're going to see a hero carrier? Are they going to get that stupid?
The USS Flag. I mean,
well, I don't know if you can do it in a 6-inch version, but I think if they did, they knocked it down to the 3 3/4 scale version with like the characters included in the tiers.
It's not a popular though. People don't collect I don't think they'd ever. Yeah,
I think if they did Jabba's barge and you had the giant hero carrier, I think there's enough to get it to push over. Like I don't think people are going to be on the fence. But I know you can't do a 6-inch version.
It's like the Death Star, right? How could you even at the 3.5? Like, how could you do?
Yeah, that's pretty big
properly.
In fact, I saw a guy on.
I know how you do it in sections, so that if you want, you can buy like 8 sections and create the entire Death Star. So
you do it in tiers. So you do it like 150 for like one section, and then you do it if you get like the entire tier.
You can get $1,000. You can buy the sphere.
$3,500 total for the Death Star is what you're saying, because each segment.
Somebody will buy it.
No, somebody would. Somebody would.
A lot of people would. Those collectors are another. Yeah, exactly. You were asking what would be hanging from the ceiling. Death Star.
Well, there's on one of the Joe groups I'm on Facebook. There is a gentleman that is actually printing out an actual 6-inch scale version of the USS Flag, and he's running my 3D printers day and night to do this, and they just showed a picture of it. And it was like, just all the pieces in the room that he's had laid out. And I was like, it took up the entire room. I said, this thing's massive. So you can get it if you really want it.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to print out like 14-foot pieces,
Well, no, he did it. He did it in he did it in sections. So he's like, I think they're only
they still got to be pretty big sections.
Well, they are pretty good sections, but he still had to put it together. But this thing looks just amazing. I'm thinking to myself, like, how in the hell is he gonna ever putting it together? Is like whenever we were talking about that Lego shop in San Diego where they built like that giant aircraft carrier, and I was like, well, how the hell do you do that in a day? Well, somebody's gonna be putting that 3D print together.
Yeah, it's so good.
Well, we shall see if the rumors are true. But excited for the Marvel releases. And speaking of Marvel, we are on to our last and final topic of the evening, and that is ink. And with the success of Deadpool and Wolverine that is anticipated, there'll be a lot of buzz about those characters, and also perhaps a renewed interest in the comic line, and with a lot of expected cameos of characters, some of which people haven't seen on screen for some time, others new to comic world. Do you think this is going to bring a newfound attention to the comic industry? Will people go back and read the old Liefeld books and, some of the cool Wolverine lines, but also learn about, if X-23 is in it, or, Lady Deadpool, or what do you think?
I think no, it won't. I sent you guys over a video today
Just brutal, man. Just
yeah. I sent you over a video today through Instagram where there was one of the, I think it was the 1970s, maybe the early 80s, Marvel Comics. No, it was the 80s, where they were actually had a national campaign. Now this was when the comics were their bread and butter. They needed more people to actually buy books, so they actually did a commercial. Look, we're like weeks away from, Deadpool Wolverine hitting theaters. And what was the summer event that they did this year? Would it be something that would tie into the movie, and they do a Wolverine and Deadpool event to something that tied into the book? No. They didn't do that. They did
That
this
would have
Blood
been
Hunt
smart.
situation.
Because imagine instead of Blood Hunt, you're right. If they had a gigantic Deadpool Wolverine miniseries thing that crossed over, like a giant multiverse thing that crossed over all the different books, it would have been huge and building up to the movie.
Well, who do you have right now in the film? Hugh Jackman, and you've got Ryan Reynolds. Who runs Marvel Comics now? Who runs everything? That's Kevin Feige. So the excuse no longer is that, hey, I've got, there's it's Ike Plumer over there. Now it's you run it. So the event that they planned for, because he's running it now, is they did Blood Hunt. So instead of, you could have had Hugh Jackman and then early in the year, like, hey, you want to know what's the countdown to, Wolverine Deadpool? You've got to go and get these issues. If they had the biggest eyes on them that they've ever had in the summer of nothing coming out. But what did they do? They waste the opportunity. They run these comic book companies like they don't care if they make money. I've never seen it ever if like anyone else ran a company and be like, well, if Ford said, well, we don't need to advertise that we're putting out brand new Fords, they will probably go out of business instantaneously. It doesn't make any sense. They wasted a heck of an opportunity, and you could have built fan interest because you got two of the biggest stars on the face of the planet, two of the most iconic characters of all time. It would have put so many eyes back, but what do? They do it on a vampire series. They're damn straight there with maybe they're mining the IP for another decade or so if the Marvel Universe is still around and they could do like the Blood Hunt for the screen, but this didn't make any sense with planning. I don't know what they're thinking.
To be fair, they probably thought Blade would be out by now. So, they've been working on it for so long.
But they knew that what was coming. Look, they don't plan. You and I both know this.
They screwed up.
They don't plan comics like, 6 years away. It's not like films and everything. So they plan comics sometimes pretty closely, month to month almost, damn near, maybe 6 months in advance. They knew this movie was opening. And yet you push for this Blood Hunt situation. And with the whole Red Band, books and everything else like that, how big would that have been if you would have had Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds to back that?
And with Deadpool especially, if you had an alternate version that was as dirty and the language and all the other stuff that Deadpool can do, that would have been huge and a reason to buy the R-rated version as well as the regular mass version, Yeah,
it wouldn't have been Destro selling 170,000 copies. It would have been Marvel selling a bunch of copies, but they roll it to them in DC. Remember, Kevin Feige runs Marvel, James Gunn runs DC now, and we love comics, we love that, and somehow it's just not piped into any of their thoughts.
Did you see Wesley Snipes' tweet last week? Because
I did.
Oh man,
I didn't see it. What was it?
I think you need to just flash it on the screen because he puts the image of himself as Blade too, because it's falling apart. The Blade movie really is just.
There are 2 writers, 3 directors. They
it was very much like what Blade would say.
Yeah. Well, did you see what they originally were going to do? Is like it was going to be set in the 1920s, and it was going to be a period piece with Blade and his daughter, and that's what's here we go.
So Blade, lordy.
Folks,
Folks
still looking for
the
secret
secret sauce.
Riding snowmobiles in traffic, kind of.
Yeah.
Daywalkers make it look easy, don't they? Daywalkers.
Let's knock this down before we get a strike on us.
Oh yeah.
You can't get a strike for a tweet.
Well, I hope not, but lately.
But yeah, I love that. What do you think about Nick Cage doing Spider-Man Noir?
We'll
I feel like that's a way to really just bury your IP
You
in
don't
the
think
dirt.
he did? I think he did really well in the anime, the films, playing the character. No, you didn't enjoy his
as a joke for 2 minutes. Yes, that works. As a feature that you have to stick with him for like an hour and a half.
Well, who sat in the theater and watched Ghost Rider? Because we sat through both Ghost Rider films in the theater, and I can tell you,
it wasn't good.
I don't want him ever. I
terrible.
don't want him to ever be in another Marvel movie.
But do you think? Do you all think that Spider-Man Noir should be made as a movie or a TV series?
And this, well, not by Sony. Sony's doing it. No, I know we got to work for them at one point in their lives. It's going to come up and bite us in the butt.
You're not looking forward to the marketing machine, like drinking a Snapple with Spider-Man Noir's.
We've seen their, we got their marketing machine with Madam Web, and we've got Craven coming up
from the makers of Morbius and Madam Web.
Well, I don't want them to do any more Spider-Man than they've already done.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I think that wraps it up. Any last thoughts on the topic of comic books, summer season, HasLabs?
I just want to point out that I did get the hard, shouldn't read version.
Yeah.
But also, I was a little upset because I was behind, but I picked up some.
Those
and cool. I have a bunch more over here. But
are those the new Scotty Young stuff?
Yeah, it's called the Big Marvel series. I have another cart full of the ones I don't have. It's about $44. But there was another one that came out. So Joel Jones and Jason Aaron are doing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? Yeah. So I ended up going and finding this.
Okay.
Which is a prelude to the series coming out. So I'm excited for that.
Nice.
Yeah, and look, there's one thing that I think they're really screwing up on, especially Marvel, with the amount of eyeballs they've had for the last 15 years in theaters. If you gave out a free comic book to the people that came opening weekend, and it was it ends on a cliffhanger. If you want to see how, Deadpool and Wolverine works out, go to your local comic book shop and get Deadpool and Wolverine #1. That is something that could build up their brand, get people into the comic shops, and it's something that sometimes they do, very rarely. And it's usually not even on comic books things. It's usually, it would be on other type of movies that are in this sci-fi genre or whatever. But it's just a giant missed opportunity by people that are in charge of the same thing. We got comic books, we got movies based on comic books.
Yeah.
Put them together.
You could point it. You can even point them towards Marvel Unlimited subscription service and do a simultaneous release. So
exactly.
Go get the book presents, or you make some money, reoccurring revenue through your streaming service that's available that nobody outside of comic folks even knows that exists. So, 100%. Well, we as always, we appreciate you all tuning in this evening. Again, please drop a like, subscribe. We appreciate your viewership. A couple things, as always, as we wrap the show. First off, for all of you toy folks out there, you collect toys, you collect statues, busts, a variety of different things. use the code down below this video, and you can receive 10% off all in-stock items, plus free delivery of $79.99 or more purchases at Entertainment Earth. We are an affiliate, so again, Entertainment Earth got all the stuff. And then, as always, for the mom and pop stores, we just talked about comic bookstores. Mr. Storm, as always, Toys versus Games.
Yeah, Toys versus Game, Wilmington, California. Tony and his wife run a very good store. It's a mom and pop's, a small store. Every dollar that you do and you go through there matters with them, and that's the difference between that and the big box stores, is that they really do pay attention. If there's something that you might be looking for, well, then maybe you have a conversation. Maybe they might be able to get it, or maybe they might point you in a direction to have it. But it's a much different relationship when you go into mom and pops. And again, every dollar counts. So it's Toys versus Games, Wilmington, California. We thank them. They've been a sponsor since day one, and we always appreciate it.
Awesome. And before we give some special kudos and shout out to our newfound partnership with the Sarlacc Digest podcast, I'll let Mr. Storm chat through. As always, check the videos out on our channel here on the Shadow Knows Network. Again, as a reminder, we've got 7 p.m. Pacific time every Wednesday, the Toybox Chronicles, featuring Chet and Mr. Storm with special guests from time to time. I've been a special guest on there as well, talking about all things toys and collectibles. In addition, a variety of other things. Shadow Shoot Shot for pro wrestling fans. We got a new one that's posted. Also, the Tech Master in his rants as he's driving his vehicles. If you're all fans of AEW, what a brutal week. So tune in. That just went live. And then a couple of new things. Again, Joystick Junkies, first episode. Meeks and Mac Daddy Maddox talk about things in the video game world. And then again, a couple of different shorts upcoming. We got an unbox short, the Spider-Punk limited edition, kind of the grill of the Marvel Legends was unboxed, so check that out. That's on the channel, and soon to come also the pre-order Mafia, which I talk about one of the figures that's up and coming, Odin, comic accurate Odin, big beast of a figure from the Marvel Legends line. Look for Chet and Alex to also do the pre-order Mafia takes in short form. Mr. Storm, let's talk a bit before we wrap things up. Our brother channel and their weekly shows.
Absolutely. Well, it's what we're going to do is give you guys a lineup so you can plan out your week, and you can plan your week through the Shadows Zones Network or the Sarlacc Digest podcast. But Mondays, you've got on the Sarlacc Digest podcast channel, you've got it alternates between Toy Chest, which is a live stream every other Monday, or a recorded show that's Beyond the Pit. That's on your Monday. So, and the Shadow Cruise Network or Shadow Knows Network does not have any programs on Monday and Tuesday. Everybody's off, so that gives you a day to recover. Then we got Live Stream Wednesday, and when we talk about Live Stream Wednesday, you can plot your entire Wednesday night. You've got the Fallen Fett Chronicles, which is a member of the Sarlacc Digest, and also Toy Amigos. So he's at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Fallen Fett YouTube channel, or you can catch him on X. Then you've got the Toybox Chronicles of myself and the actual master of toys, Mr. Chet Maddox. And you can catch us at 7 p.m. Pacific Time here on the Shadow Knows Network, and also on X as well. And I just heard that we're also on Twitch now too, right, sir?
Yes, sir. It's streaming over on the channel on Twitch. So if you're on Twitch, hang out over there. You'll see it's got all the links to all of the Shadow Knows Network on Twitch. But yeah.
All right. And then after we're done with 7 p.m., you can stick around at 8 p.m. Sarlacc Digest podcast starts up. Everything you need to know about Star Wars, and they've gone the last couple of weeks about the Acolyte and so many other great.
Also, their knowledge,
yes,
of Star Wars is unreal. Like Storm, you and I were watching it.
Yeah.
Together, and we were like, "What the?" Like it was fantastic. I love listening to channels where it's just like a wealth of knowledge is like I'm not. I mean, I'm a Star Wars fan,
Of course.
but like the knowledge that they have was like unreal.
Yeah,
It was great. It's so
they were
entertaining.
diving into timeline and everything.
Things to be offended about that I didn't even know I should be offended about, which is good.
I'm mad now for some reason.
Kiadi Mundi wasn't even born yet. What are you doing?
You guys messed that up.
But yeah, it is the exact same way. You do learn something from that, actually, a little bit. You learn something from us and everything, but you learn a little something in the Star Wars realm. Those guys are really piped into that, and I give them credit for that. Then on Friday, it's the only solo show in the week, so you get a break on Thursday, and on Friday, it is Pixels, Plastic, and Ink, and everything. You can end your weekend after or a week of a hard day's work and a terrible week to, like, the best show on YouTube, Pixels, Plastic, Ink, 7 p.m. So that's the lineup. We're going to put that link in the descriptions. It's also up on the Shadow Knows Network Instagram channel. So if you need any information, or you can pop on X at Shadow Knows. But we got all the stuff there. So we're going to be working in a couple of collab shows and everything with them as well. So looking forward to it.
And if you're at the Joe Show in Atlanta, someone might be there tomorrow.
Somebody might pop up.
So pay attention. I don't know yet, though. I'll figure it out. It's kind of far. It's like 2 hours. It's like 2 hours away. So that's like a 4-hour commitment. I don't know. We'll see.
We will see. Stay tuned, because we might have a big announcement about a convention towards the end of this year. More to come. Thanks for tuning in all. Have a great rest of your Friday evening, or whenever you are watching us, and we'll see you next week. Bye.